Welcome back everyone. In today's video, we are going to be talking about what has been all over my FYP lately, and that is low buy or no buys. And we are going to be discussing if we think low buy is just a trend that's only going to be here for a short amount of time, like most trends these days are, or if this is an actual lifestyle change that we see more and more people, myself included, going into. We are obviously hearing so much in the news right now about the rising costs of everything, wages not meeting those cost of living increases, questions around politics and our futures. But we also have started to hear about the overwhelmingness, and this is something that I touched on recently as well, the overwhelmingness of having access to so much, from people online these days to material products to travel and everything in between. Because we have this type of access with technology, it feels like consumerism has been at an all-time high in the past years, but it seems like in the more recent years, we're also starting to hear some rumblings about hitting the point where we can't buy anymore, we can't keep spending, and especially again in today's state of our economy, how can we possibly keep up with the tagline of keeping up with the Joneses? How can we possibly, or now it's keeping up with the Kardashians, but how can we possibly keep doing that? And now we're seeing some trends coming out like underconsumption, digital detox, getting a hobby, a video that I did recently about how hobbies are starting to become a trending thing, and not just hobbies, but kind of more inexpensive hobbies at that. And then also it feels like more recently, and what I'm seeing a lot of people talking about is going on low buys or no buys. And this is where you are drastically cutting back on spending or even stop spending money completely. And usually this is focused on one certain area. So for this video, this is, my channel has primarily been a beauty channel for the last 10 years. So we're gonna be talking about the beauty space, but I've also seen people talk about this with clothing, with home decor, with books, fragrances. I mean, it runs the gamut. I want to touch on some of these trends and also share my own personal story of going on a low buy, especially again in the beauty space, what worked for me when I was trying to cut back on my spending, and why I hope the narrative of more conscious consumer spending is going to become a more normalized conversation. I would really love if you wanted to weigh in at any point in the video. If you are someone who has gone on a no buy or a low buy, what made you get to that point? I'll talk about what made me get to that point for me, but what made you get to that point? What have been some of your obstacles? And also what have been some of the ways that have worked for you? Because like I said, I do also want to share on a couple of the two biggest things that I feel like really helped me when it came to deciding that I was going to do a low buy and actually sticking with my low buy. I went on a low buy in 2022. So it has been several years now. So I feel like I do have a lot to say on the topic. So would love your input, of course, in the comments, but I'm first going to start with some of the trends that I've seen. So first up, I want to discuss underconsumption. This is something that I have done a video about as well, but underconsumption or underconsumption core, because we have to say core behind everything these days, this is the thought of using up your makeup products. So we started to see more and more people coming out with Project Pan videos, Shop My Stash. Again, hands up right here. I started a Shop My Stash series that I do every single month in the month of January. So January, February, March, April, I all have videos posted of where I'm actually going through my makeup collection and choosing out what I'm going to try to use up, try to get some more uses out of. For me, being a beauty channel and getting PR, sometimes that does include new releases, but especially my January Shop My Stash, I was really focused on panning products, and I was very proud of my success in that video. So we've definitely seen a rise. I've seen it trending on different platforms, especially like TikTok. Things like Project Pan and Shop My Stash are typically trending week by week. So using up your products, more declutters. I've been seeing a lot of people do more and more declutters, and some pretty massive declutters at that. Or like a cutesy title that I've been seeing too are reverse hauls, which I think is very funny. I feel like my next declutter, I want to name it reverse haul as well, because I just thought that was a funny name. But we're seeing more and more declutters. For me, again, as a beauty channel, I have typically done declutters at the end of the year. I do a really big declutter series. But since going on my low buy, one of the things that I wanted to start doing was doing declutters throughout the year as well. So I wasn't getting so consumed with having so many makeup products in my living space. We're also seeing an emphasis on minimalist makeup collections. Again, something that I've gone towards myself as well in the past few years. But those are a few things that I see under the umbrella of underconsumption core. And I know when I have talked to people, and I talked to quite a few people before this video, and I wanted to get some other thoughts going besides just my own, because, you know, I'm not the reigning queen over here, but I like to get other people's thoughts. And one thing that I kept hearing over and over again was it feels like we've hit a wall. It feels like we have hit like the all-time of consumerism, and especially paired that with everything that we have going on in the economy. I do want to say I'm US based. So everything that we have going on in the economy, it just feels like we've hit that wall. We can't buy anymore. We have so many products. And I feel like you can really see that also in the beauty industry, the beauty online industry, I guess, because I have seen more and more beauty creators step away from beauty or step away from social media entirely. I have seen more and more creators, again, starting to do these really large makeup hauls, starting to say things like, I have too much makeup, I'm overwhelmed by how much makeup I have, especially for those of us who have been doing it for 5, 6, 7, myself 10 years. 10 years, the amount of products that you can not begin to accumulate, but that you have accumulated can be very overwhelming. So it's been very interesting to me to watch some people just straight up leave the internet and they're not around anymore. And I don't know where they went. I don't just living a quiet life offline. I'm like, wow, what a thought. Or they switch to a different genre completely. I've seen a lot of people do that. I myself, I feel like have been trying to rebrand myself as not just a beauty channel for several years now. There's also been more talk around mental health of content creators, something I speak about quite freely on my channel as well. And again, the pressures of keeping up online, the pressures of keeping up with all of these new makeup releases. I know for me, when I started in 2015, yes, there was a lot of makeup at that time, but nowhere near the amount of options that we have today. And I think that there's pros and cons to everything. I think there's a lot of pros because before, when you walked into a store and you were looking for foundations, there was, 5 shades, and good luck if you fit into one of those. And so I think things like that is great. We also have started to understand that not everyone expresses themselves through makeup in the exact same way. We have so many more options these days, from eyeshadow colors and finishes to eyeliners to lips. It just seems like the possibilities are endless today, which I think is great, because I think we are a more accepting society now, that not everyone is wanting to look the same and use the same 5 products, and not everyone has the same skin color or skin concerns when it comes to the makeup products that we are purchasing. So on the one hand, I think that it's great, and I love that we are able to have so many more options. On the other hand, it can feel incredibly overwhelming when we have so many products. And again, just speaking as a beauty content creator, I do think I definitely hit a point where it was like, how much can I keep buying and trying and sharing online? It feels like I hit that wall as well. And it's also what I'm hearing from a lot of viewers. One person said to me, and I wrote this down, one person said to me that they are working on finding joy in what they have and love instead of constantly chasing new. And I thought that was really interesting, because I think that can relate to a lot of different areas in life. But it does feel, and I've done an entire video on chasing happiness and chasing that next high. And sometimes that's what consumerism and overconsumption kind of feels like. We're always chasing that next thing, that next high. And for a lot of people, that comes in the form of shopping. Retail therapy, that has origins for a reason. And when I read that comment, it really just kind of struck something with me, that it seems like as a society right now where we've gone is we can't be happy with what we have. We always have to be looking for the next thing. And again, I think that goes beyond beauty as well, but we're always looking for the next. And I think social media has really exacerbated that as well, and kind of in a more negative way. New brands are always coming out, new products are coming out, new sales are always coming out, new experiences are always coming out. It's always something new. Again, I also relate this to the fact, I live in Las Vegas, And it's like a new restaurant is opening every single week, it feels like. I could be eating somewhere new all the time because we get invited to grand openings and please come check out this menu. And it's like, how many, like at one point I'm like, how many restaurants are opening here? There's always something new, a new experience, and something new to be able to create content around. So then when you are going online on social media, it's like, look at this new restaurant, look at this new makeup release, look at this new way to do your hair, look at this new way to dress, look at the new trending pants that are in right now. And sometimes it really can feel like we're inundated with just new. When I was talking to other content creators about this and thinking about it for myself, I think one thing that I have kind of run into a problem with is finding ways to still create content that is entertaining and fun, that does not feel so pressure to shop. And I think it's a reason why I've started gravitating towards some of these commentary videos where I can just sit down and just discuss a topic that is on my mind and isn't necessarily, I mean, don't get me wrong, I did a million videos on the Sephora sale. It was one of my most requested videos. As always, it's one of my most viewed videos. People want to see what I'm buying in the Sephora sale. They want to know what I'm recommending. They want to see me try the products on. But I'm also trying to find more of a balance, if not a complete rebrand, of going into a different direction and being able to speak on topics that I want to talk about. Because what I wrote down was, the problem is people still want to shop. There is still a lure of buying. And we can see that with the data and the analytics that we have, especially around sale time. And as a creator, like I said, we're still getting comments of, I want to know what I should buy in the Sephora sale. I want to know what you're buying in the Sephora sale. So it's become kind of this weird line to straddle of not pushing shopping, yet also delivering what your audience wants to see. Then we move over to something like the popularity of TikTok Shop. And this, I feel, has been very eye-opening since TikTok Shop became around. We have actually seen beauty brands shut down their traditional affiliate marketing. And this would be something like giving us an affiliate code. So use code Samantha at checkout to save, or we get a link. You know, if you click this link and you buy through that product, then, you know, I get a 10% commission off of that sale type of thing. Brands are shutting those down and moving their affiliate programming exclusively over to TikTok Shop because they are seeing an increased amount of sales and conversions through something like TikTok Shop. That, to me, once I started hearing that from brands, was so eye-opening. To be honest, like it kind of stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, oh, okay. And as a small business owner, I was like, I should probably get my products on TikTok Shop. If they're really doing that amount of sales, I should probably be doing that, right? I mean, I'm a TikTok Shop creator, and I can tell you that it has been a source of income to me. So that's been very interesting to me. But also now we've had the rise of I don't know how to say this, non-influencer content creators that are making accounts dedicated to shopping, and all of a sudden are changing their entire lives because they're now making thousands of dollars every single month with their shopping accounts and selling products on TikTok Shop. I have seen multiple interviews with content creators who pretty much exclusively post on TikTok and exclusively post shopping videos and are making hand over foot with their conversions. This to me has been something that feels a little Wild West to me, because longtime content creators like myself are seeing their years of building a community and building trust among their audience get replaced by catchy videos, well-edited videos. I'm not saying anything negative about these videos. They're catchy. They get you in the first couple of seconds. They like give you education. They're showing a product on, you know, they do a really good job editing their videos. Like, they should be earning those sales, right? But they're seeing those videos from people with no community, no years of working to build up what they have, but they're having their lives changed based on those affiliate sales. They're getting opportunities that us as longtime content creators are not getting. To me, that feels like we've had the death of the community and the rise of the algorithm. And sometimes it almost feels a little, I don't know if I want to say trend trumps truth, but sometimes it does feel a little like whatever is trending right at this time, that's what videos are being made about. That's what's, you know, trending. That's what's getting views. That's what's getting conversions. That's what's getting sales, versus things like in-depth reviews. Those used to be some of the most sought after videos on YouTube, not in the last handful of years. Those types of videos have started to fizzle away, and really the emergence of short form content and how it changed so much. And now with more shopping programs and affiliate programs, it has changed a lot of people's lives. It's changed a lot for the brands. But I think for, again, just speaking on myself, I can't speak on behalf of any of my other creators, but speaking on behalf of myself, it almost feels like we're sitting here like looking around like just with dust all over us and being like, whoa, 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 what just happened? Like, I've worked the last 10 years to get to where I am, and now it feels like anyone just gets online and boom, can change their life over that. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, on one hand, it's so exciting because it feels like anyone can do it. There's always opportunity for people. Like, again, I'm not trying to say anything negative to that fact, because sometimes we can live in this scarcity mindset, and I can do the same, where it's like, oh, only these 3 people can be successful, or there's only $100 you can make this month, and if one person makes $100, then there's no other money to be made. And that's not true. It's literally, the possibilities are endless. And I think that's why a lot of people have gravitated towards social media, because it does sometimes feel like there's no glass ceiling here. We can make our own opportunities. Every single day that I post a video, I get so excited because I'm like, I have no idea who this video is going to reach. I don't know who this video is going to resonate with. I don't know who this video is going to touch. And that makes me so excited of like, I'm going to put something out there, and maybe someone who really needs to hear that message in that video, they'll be the ones to find it. It's so exciting to me. I post every single day on every single one of my platforms. Every single day I post on YouTube, either a long form video or a short form video. Every single day I post something on my Instagram, on my regular feed, and at least 3 stories. Every single day I post on my TikTok account, because I get so excited because there's so much opportunity to reach people and to share the stories that you're wanting to share. So it's really incredible at the same time, but I get that it can also feel very overwhelming. And now it feels like there's a lot of us in this space, right? And it can feel a little like, whoa. So I want to pivot off of that and go into, how did we get here? Like, the potential ways that we got here. And one of the biggest things that just jumped out immediately was the year of 2020. When the lockdowns were first going into place, I know there was a lot of chatter amongst content creators of, what do we do? What kind of content do we put out? Do we keep talking about lipstick when, you know, like literally like Kim, people are dying? We're talking about how to do brows. It felt very tone deaf in a way. But I know, talking to not only my viewers and other creators, my family at the time, we also were realizing that people were turning to the internet for entertainment and to get some sort of relief from the news and the horrific things that we were seeing all around the world. You can't live in a constant state of darkness, you know, especially during that time. You can't watch the news 24/7 and just feel so, I mean, you can, but then you're going to feel so horrible, so defeated, like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, a lot of us, most of us were there, unless you're, you know, 5 years old watching this video, but we were all there. We were all in it together, like we all kept saying. But, you know, I think that I felt thankful that I had a career that I could do from home, and I wasn't impacted in that sort of sense. And maybe I was, you know, impacting someone's day in a positive way during a very dark time. It might sound strange to some people, especially people who don't believe social media is a career or content creation is a career, which if that's you and you're watching this video, I'm confused, but that's fine. That's a whole other ballgame. But it made me feel proud of what I did, because I felt in a very small way that I was somewhat helping someone's day. You had a really long day. You worked in healthcare, which was so incredibly scary. You know, I had family at the time working in healthcare, and the things that they would do when they got home, and, you know, getting undressed in the garage and taking showers outside so they wouldn't come in, not touching their family, being, you know, just everyone in general, being afraid to look at their mail, to help out the neighbors, to go to the grocery store. Such a scary, awful time, right? And maybe you just needed 15 minutes to think about something else. I think of it that way when I think about books. I've always loved books. I've always been such a huge reader. And one of the reasons why I loved books so much was I had a very hard childhood. When I would read a book, I would escape into that book. I would become those characters. It's a reason why I always had such a passion to become an author Because I would think maybe someone will grab my book and they just need 10 minutes to get away from their real life and they can go into that story. They can become that character just for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, however long they can read for. I started to feel the same way about my YouTube videos. Maybe I can be someone's relief for just 30 minutes. You can just think about something completely different. And maybe it'll help you through this horrible time that we're going through. But because we lost physical access to so much and so many people, a lot of us turned to social media. TikTok exploded in the year of 2020. I know even now when I go to events and I talk to content creators, and when I say, when did you start doing this? I mean, I'm gonna say, I'm literally just guessing here and I can't do math to save my life, but probably at this point, over 70% of people tell me they started during COVID. They lost their job, they were looking for a supplemental income, they were looking for just something else to do. They were bored sitting at home. I'm bored in the house, I'm in the house bored. We were all bored, but we were also craving connection with each other. We got that taken away physically, so we were able to do it digitally. And I think that's, 2020 was my top year when it comes to affiliate sales and like engagement in my videos and all of those things. People were searching for that connection online because we lost it in real life. And so I'm not surprised. And then a lot of people who found success or found that, hey, I just really like doing this, have continued to keep up. The influencer industry also exploded during 2020. When people realized I can be my own boss, I can create my own opportunities. I don't have that glass ceiling. I don't get promoted once every 5 years. I can essentially promote myself, right? I personally think this time really contributed to the rise of online popularity, but also by the way of virtual shopping. I will say 2020 was my best year when it came to something like affiliate sales. One reason being is that people had to shop online. You couldn't shop in stores anymore. So because I gave you an affiliate link, you were using that affiliate link. I've talked about this in videos in the past that, I can do videos on the Sephora sale and then you can watch them and take down all of my recommendations. And then if you go into Sephora and you buy those products, I don't earn any affiliate commission off of that. The store doesn't know that you watch Samantha March's videos. But in 2020, because no one had access to go to stores, our affiliate sales were all of a sudden jumping. People were at home online, and while we thought there would be a fear of maybe people aren't buying as much because prices are starting to go up, there's uncertainty, people are losing their jobs, actually people were buying more than ever. That is something that has been extremely interesting to me. When I think about 2020, now I think about 2025, that's why I go back to the question of, are these low buys and no buys just a trend? Or is it more of a lifestyle change? Because we have some similar things that happened in 2020, not COVID, lockdown, a worldwide pandemic, all of those things. But when it comes to the state of the economy, we are kind of moving in a similar direction there. Yet in 2020, people were buying. Are we gonna have that still in 2025? I don't know that answer. I mean, we have to see, right? But I will say my Sephora sale videos, still highly viewed. My Amazon spring sale that just went up, highly, conversions with my affiliate links. So people are still buying. So that's why it makes me wonder, the whole point of this video is, are low buys just trending right now? Or is this an actual place that we are moving towards? That's why I want your feedback. I'll go into a bit of my backstory of why I wanted to do my low buy. In a very brief nutshell, the year of 2020, was horrible for me personally. Not only COVID, the lockdown, I had been struggling with infertility for a couple of years at that point and was reaching the breaking point of not being able to continue with them. Also had made the decision to divorce my partner of 15 years. And we were separated, but living in the same house and not able to go anywhere because we were in lockdown. So I don't know if I've ever shared that part online, but just imagine how hard that is. Like, you're there together, you can't get away from each other, but you're not actually even together or speaking to each other. That was extremely difficult on my mental health during that time. So I lost family members to COVID. I, of course, was isolated, but the broken marriage, couldn't conceive, struggling with mental health. That was a very dark time in my life. And I do feel like it took away some of my passion for beauty. Because like I said in the beginning, it just kind of felt so strange to me. And I kept holding on to that entertainment. Your entertainment, you're someone's something else that they can focus on. I kept holding on to that with my grippy little nails. I was trying so hard, right? But it still, as a whole, I started to feel like I wanted to move my channel in a different direction. I just really wasn't sure how to do it. And then I also had this large move. So in 2021, actually in April of 2021, it's been, actually maybe as I'm filming this, it might be my 4 years of moving here, but in April of 2021, I moved from Iowa to Las Vegas, just me and my dog. Super scary, super challenging time. And when I moved here and I continued to keep up the same patterns, like some of the first videos I did was like shop with me at, you know, Sephora on the Strip. And all of a sudden I was just like going everywhere and I was shopping, I was buying all these products. Not only was I trying to get set up in a new apartment, but I realized that that lifestyle that I had been doing for the past several years was no longer sustainable. I no longer had a double income. I no longer had a safety net, like I mentioned in a previous video of like, you know, my husband was my safety net. I was his safety net. I no longer had a safety net. I also didn't have the space. I went from a 5-bedroom home to a 2-bedroom apartment. Where am I supposed to be putting all this stuff, right? I had rooms dedicated. Like I had an entire shipping room because I do giveaways. I have so many extras. I had an entire room that was dedicated to the extras and to like my shipping supplies. An entire bedroom. Now I just have a 2-bedroom apartment. One of them is my actual bedroom and one is a filming space, an office, and where I keep my inventory. I'm running out of room, right? But also my priorities were different. And I think going through something like 2020 and how scary it was, it also made you realize that life is short. I mean, we know that, right? But that was really kind of a very hard slap in the face of things could change at any time. Things could turn at any time. There was a point where I was like, I'm never gonna leave my house. I'm never going to see my mom again. Those thoughts were really going through my mind in 2020. I'm going to be stuck in this house forever with someone who doesn't love me anymore. That sucks. I don't necessarily like just blame COVID and the lockdown, but I think it spurred a lot of thinking of, is this really my life? Is this really where I'm happy? That to me, I do think was a catalyst of the divorce and the move and really changing my life and starting over. I launched a brand in 2021. I moved here in April. I launched the brand in July. It's just my name, by Samantha March, because all the products are very personal to me. And some of the feedback when I launched was a lot of people were very surprised that I wasn't launching a beauty brand. But when I sat and thought about it, beauty was never my actual passion. I didn't start social media as a beauty anything. When I started my blog, it was already a multi-hyphenated blog. It's called Chick Lit Plus. It's still around. Chick Lit because that was my favorite genre. The plus stood for every other thing that I'm interested in. I did book reviews, I did book hauls, I did author interviews, but I also did beauty reviews. I blogged about doing my first 5K. I blogged about getting engaged. I blogged about lifestyle things. I talked about recipes that I was trying and like health benefits of different things. So even back in 2009, I was already, you know, couldn't find a niche. That's been like chatter amongst like social media and creators and do you need a niche? I already couldn't, I started out not having a niche and I continue to still not have a niche. But beauty was never my passion. It was connecting with women. That has always been my passion. Even when it came to starting the blog and I wanted to find people who would read the same books as I did because I wanted to hear their reviews too. That's one of the biggest reasons why I started the blog. I read the book Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin and I was like, I have to know what people think of this book. I have to know. That was the book that finally drove it home to me of like, you are starting the blog. But connecting with women was always my passion. It's why I write books. It's why I started the blog. The common denominator I realized was beauty. It gave us something that we could all talk about together. But if you know me on any personal level, you know that I rarely talk about beauty. I want to talk to you about so many different things. I want to talk to you about your goals. I want to talk to you about your obstacles. I want to talk to you about your challenges. I want to talk to you about your wins. I want to talk about just what's going on in your life. That's what I want to talk about. So when I launched my brand and I launched with things like a daily planner, the gratitude journals, the decks of cards that I have, the stationery products to help you have productive days and to stay motivated and to start inspired, that is what my branding was about. It wasn't relate it to beauty at all, because while beauty again gave us something to talk about in videos, it was so much more that I always wanted to put in when it came to my social media. So I think realizing that was a big wake-up call for me for sure. And then, you know, obviously we had the move. Around 2022 was when I was like, I really think that I should do a low buy. In May of 2023, my dog was diagnosed with cancer. She passed away in October of 23. I spent, you know, thousands of dollars during that time on her treatment. And that was so much more important to me than any material thing that I could have bought. And I'm lucky that I have worked at this job for 10 years now, and I've made it onto PR lists. So I could do things like PR hauls, and I could keep trying new makeup and reviewing products because of that, because I really could not purchase new makeup, nor did I have a desire to be frank, to purchase new makeup during some of these like, well, bam, well, bam, well, bam. Also during that time, my apartment got broken into and I had a bunch of stuff stolen from me. So, and then had to like move suddenly. So like I had a lot going on in a short amount of time. Really the last thing I was thinking about was like, I want to go to Sephora and spend $500. That to me, retail therapy has not been a thing for me. And I do want to do a separate video on my shopping addiction and why it wasn't necessarily based around shopping. That's a whole other video though. But those are the reasons that I wanted to do my low buy and why I was able to stick with it. It was a lot of lifestyle changes and big lifestyle changes that happened all right on top of one another that gave me the drive to do that. I also started a second YouTube channel during this time as well, one that focuses on healthy habits, on books, on inspired living. And I love to be able to create content over there. I try to post long form videos like twice a month or so over there, and then I do some short form ones as well. That to me is important to have that channel because it has that other outlet where I do try to keep this one beauty and now a little bit more commentary. But going back to not launching a beauty brand, that's why I also started a second channel as well to talk about more of these interests, the plus of Chicklet Plus. But I wanted to share with you some of the tips that worked for me when I decided that I was going to do the low buy. And the biggest thing that I can say is to track what you are spending. This is something that I say about everything. If you want to make a change in your life, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to track what that looks like. If you want to change your diet and the way that you eat, take a couple of weeks and record every single thing that goes into your mouth. Everything. I don't care if it's 3 M&Ms, write it down. Also write down what time is it. Also write down what are you feeling at that time. Are you hungry? Are you bored? Are you anxious? Are you sad? Are you on a walk? Are you on a walk eating a donut? I've done that before. What are you doing? If you want to change something with your finances, track everything. Everything that you bring in and everything that you put out, track everything. That is my number one tip of if you actually want to change your life. Take the time for a couple weeks, 1 month, take the time and do the tracking, because when you see it in black and white, it will open your eyes. I had a friend recently who decided that she wanted to declutter a certain area in her life, and she rounded up everything that she had, and then she told me, I had no idea I had this many of this product. I had no idea. That is something that I hear common, especially from the women that I do one-on-ones with. You don't realize, like sometimes you don't realize you actually have an issue until you decide to track it, and you don't actually know what's going on until you decide to track it and look at it and see like what's happening. I had a friend the other day tell me that they wanted to change their life in a certain area, and I said, how are you going to do it? And they said, well, I'll cut back here and there. I said, well, how many times a week do you do the thing that you're trying to cut down on? Well, I don't know, like 4 or 5. No, that's not good enough. That is so ambiguous. Write down exactly how many times do you, whatever it may be, eat out. How many times do you eat out in a week, and how many times do you think is acceptable for you to eat out, and then go from there. Just being like, oh, I'm going to cut down on this, I'm going to spend less money this month, that means nothing. What is your actual goal? What's the actual numbers? Write it down. So you have to track. It is so important, right? That has always been my biggest thing. My second biggest thing that I always talk about is, what do you consume? What do you consume? This is something I just did a video on my second channel of like how to glow up for summer, right? We have to have like these like fun titles and things to draw people in. but I had 4 different areas that I touched on in that video. 4 ways we're gonna glow up, with diet, with beauty, with fitness, and also with mindset. And under the mindset category, I talked about essentially resetting your FYP or your Explore page. You are the creator of what content is served to you. The algorithms are super sharp these days. If there is a video that you watch all the way through, you engage with, you comment, even if it's negatively, the algorithm says they like this enough to watch it and also to engage with it. I'm gonna keep serving you those videos. I think I use like a pineapple example. Like if I watch a video about a pineapple, the next 10 videos that I get served, 5 of them are gonna be around pineapples. You are the creator of the content that you are served. If you are being served content that is not helping you or helping your goals, you are the one that needs to change it up. It's not aligning with your goals. It's not a creator's responsibility to change their content. It is yours. You can stop watching someone. You can mute someone. You can unfollow someone. And you can also find someone who's talking about things that do align with your goals. And it's okay. You also don't have to like be so negative towards a content creator because their content no longer aligns with you. When I was going through my infertility struggles, it was really hard for me to watch one of my favorite creators, Desi Perkins, because she had also gone through fertility struggles and then was pregnant. I wasn't going to be commenting to her saying, this is really hurtful to me because I currently can't conceive. Why would I do that? Just don't comment and just watch something else that makes you happy or aligns with your goals. So for me, when I decided I was going to be doing a low buy when it came to makeup, the first thing that I had to do was stop consuming so many beauty videos. Straight up. One of the things that I also had to do was to let go of my Will I Buy It series on my channel. I started that series in 2016. Every single week on a Wednesday, I would post a Will I Buy It video and talk about new makeup releases. But doing those videos highly played into my overconsumption of beauty products. Like I would definitely have FOMO if I watched other people's videos on the new makeup releases and they were so excited about products. I definitely wanted to buy those new products as well. And I want to be clear, and I wrote this down, that I'm not blaming anyone else to my reaction to those videos, right? Because you can only control yourself. Just because another creator is making shopping videos, it doesn't make them the enemy. It is your choice to watch the videos, and then it's your choice to make the purchases. I talk about this a lot, especially recently. I've talked about this a lot of how we can't keep just pointing at influencers and being like, it's your fault that I'm buying the products, because 1, you're watching the content, and then 2, you're placing the order. And I speak about this because I personally went through it myself. I didn't just wake up one day and be like, I'm gonna go on a low buy today. There was a lot that went into it. There was a lot of looking at my finances and looking at my debt and looking at my lifestyle and realizing, okay, I have to change this. And I'm not saying the consumers, because again, I still make shopping videos myself. I'm not saying they're bad, they're the enemy, they're the reason for it. But I know that because I can only control myself, my thoughts, my emotions, my purchases, I know that when I'm wanting to stay really consistent with my goals, maybe I'm getting close to the financial goal that I set for myself, I need to take a step back from beauty videos, from shopping videos, from scrolling, from just constantly scrolling, because I will buy, especially TikTok Shop, I buy a lot on TikTok Shop. I will not lie to you. I need to take a step back. I need to go touch grass. I need to go to the beach. I need to read a book. I need to do something else than scroll and have the desire to make those purchases. I'm gonna say it one more time. You are the creator of the content that you are served. If it's not aligning with your goals right now, switch it up. For me, I started to listen, especially around the time when I was realizing how important what I was consuming was to me. I cut back on beauty videos. I started to watch videos from female business owners. Huge part of why I was able to launch my brand is because I listened to so much, read books, listened to podcasts. A huge way I changed my finances around, listening to financial podcasts, reading financial books. When I was going through health struggles and I started to consume more health related videos, podcasts, and then that's what I would get served. You know, the videos would pop up and I'd be like, oh my gosh, got another, PCOS friendly recipe that I can try. It is not a creator's responsibility to change their content if it's not suiting you. It is yours. I do think, some traditional tips when it comes to a low buy, having a budget, leaving items in your cart, putting a bunch of items in your cart, leaving them, seeing if you still want them a week later, all of that's great. To me, sometimes those can be a little bit more like surface level, like Band-Aids. And I'm a fan of finding the root cause, even again, when it comes to something like my PCOS diagnosis and what was becoming a shopping addiction. I really wanted to get to the root of it. Where is this coming from? And that's why I want to do a video on shopping addiction, because it wasn't an actual shopping addiction. There was a root cause to that. And I'm a big fan of finding out the root cause and not just like, this little tip will work for this time. This will work for this sale. I'll just put some items in my cart and I'll leave them. And if a week later I still want them, I'll get them. But what's the root cause? Have you tracked it? Are you watching what you're, all those things, right? I think addressing some of those deeper conversations with yourself is a great place to start. But I'm going to go back to what I said in the beginning of this video. If you're on a low buy or a no buy, why? If you want to share it. I know not everyone wants to share public comments, right? But why? What is your driving factor? What keeps you motivated to stay on your low buy? Also, what throws you off track? Maybe a sale, a vacation, maybe a hard time in life, a good time in life. You got a promotion, you got a big tax refund, and so you're going to put it towards something that you want to buy. And do you think that this is more of a trend for right now, or more of a lifestyle change that we'll see in years to come? I'm very curious about it. I would love to get your feedback, of course. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.